Good morning, world. Off on another little adventure. This one's more play than work.
Antes de morir yo quiero cantar mis versos del alma cuando salí de...
Good morning, this is Brad Buckner, sharpensbest.com. How are you today? We're down here in Guanajuato, Mexico, which is about 300 miles east, right straight east of Puerto Vallarta. And really cool place, one of the 10 top destinations in the world for travel, and I can see why now. So I'm down here with my friend Joe from Seattle and Yuma, Arizona, and thank God she moved here because I'm really happy about this place. This is Brad, let's look around. I'll take you off on another little adventure. You take care and you stay sharp out there.
Niñas, apóyenme con alguna monedita, que no les incomode, señorito.
Hey, this is Brad. How you doing today? You know, come along with me down to Mexico, and it's actually pronounced Guanajuato, and it isn't pronounced anything like it looks. That's something that you have to learn about the Spanish language, you know. And so, anyway, you know, that was breakfast. We were kind of being serenaded out the window there, and the old gentleman, really cool old guy, didn't speak very much English, kind of understood what we said, you know, so that was pretty cool. And we're sitting there eating breakfast, and it was a big treat. It was a lot of really good food, and there was a lot of stuff. It was like an 8-course breakfast, and that was a treat. This right here is a theater, and it's right across from the restaurant where we ate, and that's really cool. So you can actually look out. And there's my friend Joe. She's waiting out there. I had to stop here and there, and I'd say, oh, wait a minute, Joe. Another photo opportunity. It's really a cool place. It was beautiful. It was warm during the day, a little cold at night. It's very clean. You'll be amazed at how clean it is down there. You know, just good people trying to make a living and work, you know, the tourism. You know, and you can catch these buses that go by, and you can go anywhere in the city through the buses, except the buses don't go through the tunnels. And a lot of art and architecture, the churches downtown, you know, the buildings, a lot of different architecture. Almost everything here, except right in the very bottom, is on very, very steep grade. It's around 9-10% grade. That's the square downtown, and it's really cool at night. There's, you know, a lot of lights and people and music, and that's a nice restaurant in the background there. So a lot of European architecture that came over. One of the presidents of Mexico actually spent a lot of time in Europe gathering ideas for the architectural, the structures and everything, and I guess they run him off because he was spending too much of the Mexican money. Now we get to enjoy the architecture, and I had no idea that a lot of what I was looking at over there was actually European design. I thought it was Mexican, you know, Spanish design and everything, and it's not. The mud huts, I guess you could call it, the bricks, the mud bricks, adobe, you know, is what they had there. And then after this president that was there in the, I believe it was late 1700s, that brought his ideas, you know. And my friend Joe's been there almost a year, knows quite a bit about the place and finding her way around and everything. Everybody seems to kind of know, all the motorcycles that are parked there. You know, you got two cars coming right at each other, and there's absolutely no way you can pass, and they just know. I don't know whether somebody knows, hey, you got to get over to the left or the right, you know. But then all of a sudden we pass, you know. Boy, that old building there's seen its better days. Been there a long time. Concrete's getting a little rotten, you know, big church there downtown. Every corner you go around is just another beautiful scene, you know, beautiful buildings, colors, the architecture. Some of these doors they claim are 450 to 500 years old. some of the pottery and stuff. They were getting ready for Christmas when I was down there. That's coming out of a restaurant that we ate at. It's just beautiful. Everything's beautiful. Everything is, there's just eye candy everywhere. Buildings, churches, theaters, things like that, the restaurants, the colors, lots and lots of color. Nice people. Everybody's nice. Everybody's nice to you. You're nice to them. They're nice to you. No fear. I didn't have any thoughts of being unsafe while I was there, and didn't see people that make you go, probably shouldn't walk down this road. And restaurants and little motel, well, they call them hotels, everywhere. And you can stay right downtown. $50 a day would get you a pretty nice place, and you just love the scenery and, like I say, the architecture, the buildings, the way things are built. It's not very wide. All these little streets were actually made, 400 or 500 years ago for donkey carts, donkeys. And these trees, they grow out like that, and they plant them close together, and then they trim them so that this is a square. And that's really cool. It's just a fun place to be. If there was 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 of you down there, maybe one of these days I'll organize a trip down there with Sharpens Best. And I strongly advise, if you ever think of going there, and I do that, why, get a hold of me, and I'll help you, to get down there and find a place. This is an inside market, actually. It's really cool. Every kind of food and, all your toiletries and clothes and things like that. A lot of this is food. It's fruit and vegetables and meat. A really different way of doing things. The Coca-Cola sign up there, Coca-Cola is huge in Mexico, and they're still using the bottles. They still use the bottles. And when you look at these bottles, I'm not kidding. These bottles look like they've literally been used and rebottled for 100 years, the way they look. And your open air, restaurants, and the way it's kind of spread out, that's cool. And when you go down there, though, there's something you do have to kind of think of. It costs a nickel, 5 pesos actually, to go to the bathroom, and they're okay for you using their bathrooms, but you got to pay. And at about the time, you'll pay. Just lots of good stuff to eat there. You can get your food. You want to just get a hold of it, take a bite of it. And, I tasted a lot of stuff down there. It's terrific. It's well done, and the health department here would kind of go nuts over that right there. It's just out in the air. They've got the glass around it, and it is hot in there. It's probably hot enough. But pork and beef and fish and chicken and stuff like that. All kinds of food. So it's fun when you're out. A lot of soda pop sitting there. Big selection.
Yo voy a cantar esta canción para mi gente.
Everything is clean, well organized, well placed, pleasing to the eye, good food. We kind of browse down there like deer, on the low limbs and the grass. All kinds of peppers and stuff that are dried. The place is huge. A lot of people in there. A lot of fresh fruit, vegetables. A lot of their fruit and vegetables look better than they do here, Cheyenne, Wyoming at Safeway. Brown pinto beans and stuff like that, and candied things. Peppers, lots of peppers. There are so many people down. I mean, not like it's real crowded, but there's so many people downtown that these shops do a tremendous business, because the people that live there buy their fruits and vegetables and meat and stuff almost every day. They don't have big refrigerators, you know, and stuff like that like we do, and big freezers. You know, the stuff is just beautiful. It's well kept, it's well done, clean. And so the people downtown, you know, they go shopping before they go home. And the tourists go shopping down there. Everybody cooks real food. I'd like to put that together for a puzzle. That'd make you nuts. I actually took a picture in here of, you know, from back a little ways, and thought, wow, now that's a mountain of fruit and vegetables. Would that ever make a puzzle, you know? You know, and they'll give you a sample of something if you want to try. There's fruit down there that I had no idea what it was. So you ask them, and they'll take a piece and cut you off a sample. And I didn't eat anything down there that I thought was, oh, won't be doing that again. You know. You know, and the color, lots of different colors. Very pleasing to the eye. Clean streets, clean sidewalks, narrow sidewalks. You know, here they're taking money into the bank, I think. Yeah, they don't mess around down there. Hotel Central. You know, there's little hotels. There's one right next to it, you know. Practically every building down there is a little hotel and restaurant and stuff. But, you know, there's a lot of people, and this is actually in the winter. This isn't the summer, and this isn't, you know, a height of tourist season. But there's a lot of people down there. That's a university, actually. That's the University of Higher Learning, they call it. It's huge. It's been there about 400 years. No, that particular building was put there in like 1958. Part of it. Part of it is old, part of it's new. Little narrow streets.
And this is a solar hot water heater.
A little trip up on Joe's roof. I've never actually seen a solar hot water heater.
Now I'll show you a different type of solar hot water heater. I'm not going to get out of the sun.
I've seen those hot water heaters before. You know, it's basically just a tank.
The roof is white to reflect the heat from the sun. The hot water heater is black. And the other one is just water, but it does get warm. Well, we're headed off to do breakfast. And it's Sunday morning. Guanajuato. Well, actually, it's I'll think of the correct pronunciation here in a moment.
We're off towards breakfast, Joe and I. Joe's in front of me there, and I'm lagging back behind because I'm filming and my eyes are bugging out.
Absolutely a lovely place. Very clean, good people. You know, I don't. Oh, right there. One of our members is still coming along. There's 3 of us. It's very green down in the town itself. Guanajuato. That's the actual name of the town. Alright, well, let's walk along. We'll film a little bit more later. And I see they have their store open.
Yeah, you got you got your footwear there, and not a bad price.
350 pesos is about $15.50.
When I was down there, it was 19 pesos to the dollar.
Not very expensive, but they don't make much money. Okay, we'll truck on.
And that was Carolyn in front of me, the third member of our family. The buildings down there, if there was an earthquake, I don't think you'd want to be there.
Well, the roads down there are pretty cool. Some of them are really narrow, and they weren't built for cars. They were built for donkeys and carts and people. So you have roads down there that are being used by the cars, and these roads are only about 9-10 feet wide. And so when a car or something is parked on the side of the road, it just really gets hard to get by. So this one right here, we're going to have to stop for a little bit because there's nowhere to go unless you duck in their garage and back out again. These roads, these buildings, these roadways and alleys were built back when this town started in the 1700s, middle 1700s. And so, they weren't thinking, I'm sure they weren't thinking anything about how the traffic is going to change. And everything is set in stone. It isn't like you just build a stick building. We're coming down this really steep hill right here, and there's a car. We got to wait. The cars have, they have a little bit of trouble getting around the corners because it really isn't enough room to speak of for cars. You see the old adobe right there on that wall. That's the old town. Then they stucco over it and paint it. So if you could imagine all the stucco being gone off of the walls and, see what it was like, you'd see the old Mexican adobe walls and structures. So that'd be pretty cool. You have to sit and wait. These corners that you go around. If you could look at this town from a drone and see what a maze it is trying to get through there. And that's part of the fun, the structure, the roads, the buildings, the narrowness of it, the different colors, how close it's all built together. That makes it pretty cool. Right downtown, you get flat, but it's a bowl. So there's steep banks all the way around it, and you have to navigate around. So these tunnels are all around under the city. And there are many tunnels coming and going from all directions. Some of them are 90-degree angles. As you see, this one here was quite an angular tunnel, two of them coming together. And it's kind of fun. It's really actually a lot of fun because you just come out of one tunnel into another tunnel. You have a road that you can go up the hill. You have stairways that go from the tunnel up to the ground level. Then you go places where it's like a river went through. They build the walls high, and then they build the buildings over the tunnel. And during the rainy season, you don't want to be in the tunnels. It can be 3 or 4 feet deep down in these tunnels. And there are many tunnels underneath the town. It's really cool. It's baffling to see how many directions you can go. There are places where it goes up through to the light. You don't have the rock overhead. It's unbelievable. This tunnel system under there. A lot of this tunnel system was only built in the 70s and 80s. Some of it was put in back in 1760, 1780 when they built the place. And of course, it's a silver mine area. So the silver mine was the tunnels, and then somebody come up with a bright idea to tunnel under the city so you could get around, and it was also a way to disperse the water away from the city. So that was pretty cool. And then as time goes on and engineers and money and equipment and things like that change, then they decide, hey, if we do enough tunnels under the city, we can get around faster. It's like our freeway systems when you go underground into the tunnels. and surface somewhere else, and you can go all the way across town, north, east, south, and west, through the tunnels. And as you can see here, the buses and the cars and the people, the pedestrians, the vendors, things like that that are on the streets makes it very difficult for you to get around up above on the streets. It's slow, kind of painstaking.
You know, the tunnels have quite a history. They started way back when the city was first put in, and the first tunnels were actually put in as an aqueduct to divert the water away from the city. And because the water would come down off of the mountain, and when they have the monsoons, it would wash away the town. And they started the tunnels, and then in I believe it was about 1980, they hired the mining company that's there to put in a massive tunnel system underneath the city. And so the tunnels go every direction. There's 22, 23 tunnels that take you. Some are one way, some are two way. Those are little walkways on the side. And you do have to watch out for the mirrors, because you could get clobbered with a mirror, and at 25 miles an hour, you're gonna get hit pretty hard. The expanse of it, and then pretty soon you just kind of the splits right there, and then you come outside. They have holes going up through for air and light, and let the exhaust out and things like that. So they were thinking there. That was pretty cool. The tunnel system under there is very elaborate, and I think probably kind of the coolest part of the city is underground. And then on Friday nights they have they have vendors, street vendors and stuff down there. They have music. They have some stages set up. They have dancing, festivities, food, cerveza, and that's Carolyn and I standing there. A lot of this part has an open top to it into the buildings. So you just have to go there. You wouldn't believe it unless you've seen it. This is all hand-laid rocks. This was probably a gully down through town that they built the walls and everything, built the ceiling, and then put buildings up over the top of it. Utilize every inch of space. And here we come out, and then you don't go very far, and you kind of go right back into it, buildings just built right off the sides of the wall like that. Unbelievable. You got to look at it. You just have to see it. You got to go down to Guanajuato and look it over, and just investigate and see it for yourself. Well, here we are going up on a gondola car, and it's cable driven, and it's very steep. You can see the stairway on the side, so if you want to lose a little weight, you take the stairs, both sides actually. And there's one of their strongmen, one of their people keepers, statue up there. I can't think of his name right now. He's overlooking the city and kind of a guardian for the city, and mythology and legend. So once you get up there, man, can you ever see? It's just so gorgeous. It looks like a painting. It looks like something somebody thought of and painted it instead of something real. And your colors, the university, the churches, the houses,
Just the sights.
the hotels, things like that. And we're about to dock up there and get out. First time I ever been up there, and you see this. That's looking out the window back behind you. The view is just so spectacular. The Grim Reaper's up there. He's wanting some pictures. Sitting on that balcony, on that wall like that, who knows. Building some new things up there. So, just a good look at the city, and have fun, enjoy it, feast your eyes. We took a tour. Joe organized a little tour. One of the young Mexican gentlemen down there, he has a cab, and he's also a tour guide, and he's a historian. I'm guessing he's maybe 30 years old. And but anyway, we took a driving tour in his taxi for about 2.5 hours, and he took us around and showed us different built. That's actually a restaurant right there, believe it or not. And that's how it was built. And it was built as a restaurant in the beginning, and it's still a restaurant. We didn't get to go in there, but we will at one point, one of these days. And then we went up above the city. This was a dam that was built back in 1850, and if you just go up and drive across the top of it, and you don't actually get out or look, you don't see the fantastic architecture under the bridge. The way it's made, everything's green. You're getting up on the mountain, and a lot of trees and brush and shrubs, and a lot of greenery. And this dam, these are flood control dams, and because the city of Guanajuato was actually down in a bowl, it's right in the very bottom. They built it around the creek that used to run down through there, and that was no big deal. Well, then when you build a city down there, when it would rain as hard as it does at times, then it would actually flood out the city almost every time. So one of the presidents, one of the officials decided that they needed to build a bunch of dams. And so there's about 5 dams up around Guanajuato. None of them are very big, but they hold the water back for irrigation and drinking and human usage and watering animals, things like that, watering vegetation. But it also helps keep the town from flooding out. Structures like this, on the far right side to the top to bottom, there's about 120 feet. And then they have these structures off to the side that push up on the wall, and that kind of looks like a crocodile with his mouth open. How they got these structures up there and like that, pretty good mystery. Old church built back in early 1700s. You notice on the right side the bell tower's missing. They just didn't finish it. The clock is missing also. And if you didn't know that, you'd think that it wasn't supposed to have a bell tower on the right side. This is all carved out of sandstone, limestone, sandstone, hand carved, with mallets and chisels, things like that. Wow. These doors are absolutely huge. See, there's a door in the door. Now you come inside. You see the artwork and the color, the detail. Catholic Church, Spain, Spaniards, type thing. Man, it's just incredible. The huge dome and the arches. The acoustics in there. They didn't have any type of amplification, so they had to build it so that everybody in there could hear, and the priest wasn't yelling at you, so you could actually hear it. How do you build a mock-up of this, see if it works? You don't. You build it right somehow the very first time. And the color and intricacy of the work that was done, the scaffolding, I don't know, it's hard to imagine how this even got done. And all the blocks put in place and everything has to fit, and the continuation from left to right, and bottom to top and top down, and it's just like it was done by a computerized machine, and I think it was 1746 or something like that that this was actually made, and it's pretty much right across the street from one of the great big mines, silver mines. Process the ore, separate out the rock from the silver. Did they get gold here too?
Yes.
You have to, because gold and silver actually travel together.
Actually, exactly. And pirate and copper and another minerals like I think it's
iron.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, iron. Yeah, they all travel together.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but the biggest amount or the most common is silver.
Yeah. Now we're going to continue on down towards the mine. This is one of the first mine shafts, the first mine openings, Well, good morning. This is Brad Buckner, sharpensbest.com, down here in Mexico. And we're going to go look at a mine. This is the opening of one of the original mines. It's a silver mine. The Spanish started it here about 400 years ago. And so they came into this area. And that's how this area got started and developed and everything. So I understand we're going to see something really different than you may think once we get inside those doors. So let's start the video here and look around. First we'll show you a little bit about what's outside. Yeah, we got a little bit of wind. We just learned to put up with it and learn to deal with it. Yeah, you have to pay a little bit to go in, and that's okay too. But the doors, they're absolutely huge. They're wood, they're old, they're carved. You got a door inside the door. The big door's open. And there's our guide, Joe. She was paying so we could go in. And we had a lot of fun. Very good guy, terrific guy. Just a nice guy. And there's the name of the mine. There's one of the local residents, and I think there was 2 or 3 of the goats around there, and they're there to kind of trim the weeds and stuff a little bit.
So it's just fine.
Yes, was covered of a gray. It was covered with that.
Extremely toxic. So the water downstream from that mud, not good.
Exactly, you're right.
Not good. A lot of stuff downstream from humans isn't good.
It's not good.
It's not good. We all said yes, let's go with the line area. Yeah. And there's a grindstone.
Yes. Actually, in that age was called blood grinder.
Blood?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was called a blood stone grinder. And humans pushed that around, pulled it around. Sometimes they used donkeys, burros, things like that. But anybody that was connected to actually working that piece of equipment ended up with enough blisters and problems. This is a little bar they got set up down there. I guess this bar was, they say it was there when a working mine. And I can imagine, our guide was saying that you worked here, and you lived there. You bought your food there. You bought your alcohol there. Everything was there. You got paid, and then you went right back and spent the money there. So you literally worked to eat and sleep. Those are furnaces, actually, for the smelters. And that's going down into the mine. 1549 is when that got put there, a long time ago. That is really steep. Go online, look up the history. 1549. Silver mine. They got gold, copper, iron pyrites, things like that out of this mine. All those minerals follow each other. It's just really cool. I love the rock. I love the, and here's the deal. You can build your fortresses, your foundations and everything for the buildings kind of as big as you want to, because as you pull the rock out of the ground and then you separate the silver and gold and stuff, the veins of silver, then you use the rock to build your buildings, to build your walls, your foundations, your walkways. And that rock right there is actually all cemented in there.
With any mineral here, this is all waste. This is always there. No one gets mineral. It's not.
It's
looks
pretty
different.
rock.
Exactly. It looks,
Yeah, the
looks
veins
different.
are white and yeah.
But it's pure waste.
Right. Quartz is a lot of silver and gold was found around quartz.
Yes, and here was supply.
Storeroom. Yeah. Yeah, the storeroom there, and that's where they kept, that's the stuff that they could actually use there at the mine. And you see there was some guns over on the side for a little self-protection and everything. And then the miners could get different tools and things there, and they brought the ore out, through that area. So, yeah, they just, you live to work, you work to get money to pay for food and everything, and you live right around there. And then there's really, they said, no money left.
What does that sign mean?
It's the same, tienda de raya.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's the name of the mine there. All the old wood timbers and everything. A lot of this is right there is kind of props that they put around in the tourist area today. Yeah, this is the gift shop, and just typical gift shop and trinkets of the mining and silver and things like that. It was all very colorful. The necklaces, the bracelets, the rocks, the different type of rocks and everything that they take out of the ground that they make necklaces, and pottery and cups. And I bought a couple of those cups actually. And then they got dolls for kids and Catholic symbol things.
Into the business of the hotels, bought the basic structure of this mine and keep on with the same shape.
With the same design.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see.
And the result was this a castle.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, this is actually a hotel now. It was dormant for a long time, and then an investor bought it and refurbished it and turned it into a big hotel and restaurant. If you could get in there and look around, you actually go inside if you had time. These indented windows. The structure is just unbelievable. They didn't just put up a wall. They had character. They had some pizzazz to it. There may be some structural, some strength to the way it's built that way, and the more arches and windows and stuff you have in it, the less actual rock that you have to put up. But it's certainly not just a wall. My gosh, look at this. It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable.
This actually was the opening to a mine. I don't know if it's like the other mine in the 1450s, early 1500s. And then later the property was purchased and made into a nice hotel. It's huge. And so now it's more like a castle.
A lot of the buildings and things over there was built kind of like castles. They were big. They were built by the rich people, the mine owners, and stuff like that. And they wanted to leave their mark behind, the way they built and as big as they built, and how elaborate the properties were, And I'm glad they did, because without that, it wouldn't be near as much fun for us to go there today. That's another mine.
And this is
a pottery shop.
And this is a medium class neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see, most of the houses are showing the bricks. Yeah. And
the pottery that they make there, it's all made by hand, and then it's sun-dried, and then they glaze it and fire it and everything. There's a lot of steps. That's actually a pool of clay, and it's the dirt is softening and getting wet, and they stir it, and everything, and get it fine enough to where they can make the pottery, to make the stoneware, the clay. And they just put it up on the roofs. Can you imagine at 115 degrees in the shade, you're in that underneath that tin trying to work,
And here they're making a spot for a car.
Right there, they're blasting and digging the rock wall off, so there'll be a place big enough to put their car, because these hillsides, they just don't have places.
This mine was actually started in the 1500s. And I don't know exactly, I guess it's probably down below us. But this is some of the structures from then. In the height of the mining here was the 1700s.
This is up above Guanajuato on the north end of town. Probably about 500-foot elevation above the city.
And those are ore cars. And that's actually a little self-loader. This is the digging part of the bucket.
Incredible. These structures are just incredible.
And it went up over the back and dropped the ore in that car. And it was probably air, could have been steam driven. So it mucked the ore off of the ground from where they shot, loosened the rock, made ore, and loaded it with these little self-loaders. There's another one right here. That bucket would go up, over, and drop in that car behind. Very ingenious. This chain was pulled by a gear back here, and loaded the ore car. Holy cow, is that thing old. Yeah, let's take a look from the advantage point here.
Yeah, you know, you could go up here and look over these walls and look down on the city. We're quite a bit above the city, so you get to see a real good view of the city. And I had to laugh. Our guide says, if it rains really hard, a lot of the white people that built places down in here along the creek beds would be the first ones to be washed out. And of course, I thought it was kind of funny, actually.
You don't see that. Big piece of flat ground with trees.
You know, as we drive around the city and you get to look down on the city, you know, different advantage points, different views. So it's really cool. There's something new around every corner. This gigantic rock structure that was up there, if you look down, straight down off over the sides, about 80 feet to the ground. So, you know, you just can't hardly believe how tall these structures are. This is up around one of the dams. So that's just some of the dam water right there. And they're not huge reservoirs, but they do their job. They're deep. And just the way the dam was built, I believe this one was 1850. There are fish in there, so that's pretty cool. You can actually see them swimming around. You don't have to wonder if they're there. And they're big enough to eat. You know, goes up the valley, up through there, up through the canyon. There's more dams up the canyon. They catch the water as much as they can. All the color and everything. There's a little... You can stop the video, and if you speak Spanish or read Spanish, you can read it. You know, tells you about the dam and when it was put there and everything. A lot of history right here at the dam, and the reason they built things the way they did. The young man guide got to tell us quite a bit about it. You know, you get down around town, you know, get to the dancers and all the color and the music and, you know, what's going on. It's a lot of fun. The music was great. These are just some really good pictures that I took. Good stop action. The dresses and the way, you know, they're dressed and everything's really cool. The color. This was in preparation actually for one of the holidays. They have about 40 celebration holidays a year. I think they live to celebrate. And they're all they're big productions. It's a big deal. They're not just you know, a little thing like, oh yeah, we had a celebration the other day. You know, and at night all the lights that are on and everything. Day or night doesn't make any difference. You walk around the city, it's just really cool. And you know, the way they trimmed those trees Yep, somebody didn't like that. You know, the trees, a lot of the trees are not just allowed to be a tree, they're trimmed into different shapes and stuff, so that's kind of cool. A little imagination and a little thinking going on. You know, the colors, it's just colors. It's really cool that way. That's a school. School's just getting out. Cars everywhere.
Yeah.
Kids everywhere. People, oh my God. Can you imagine if...
And all the people picking up the kids from school.
You know, if every one of your schools looked like that on the outside, you know, every time they get out. And they have 2 or 3 shifts a day over there. They actually go like 4 hours and then 4 hours for somebody else, 4 hours for somebody else. Use the same building for many. Yeah, ice cream, oh yeah. Headed up to a little restaurant Joe knows about, so we're walking up the sidewalk there. You can't help but film. You just can't help it. You want everybody to see what you're seeing, and you know, just you could go on for hours and hours because there's so many places over there, so much to see. You know, just really nice people. Everybody was courteous and kind and thoughtful, and you know, step aside for you. And all the flowers that hang down off of the walls, that's really cool. Some are blue, some are purple, some are yellow, some are red. Seems to be the same flower, but different places has completely different colors. And that's good, that's cool. All the motorcycles and mopeds parked over there. The high school kids, you know, oh, more food. Food everywhere. Everywhere you go over there is food. But when you have that many people in the area,
Everywhere you go is just a new experience. Food and interesting buildings, interesting people. And I'm following Joe into this little cafe here. That ceiling looks just a little scary at how bowed and rotten.
yeah, you know, those beams, they just didn't look safe at all. But we went, that's all concrete and brick up there. If one of those beams comes down, not a good deal.
Some of those beams are. That's a little scary.
Yeah, go upstairs. Everything is up. You know, there's when everything is congested down below, build straight up. And this is really a cool little cafe. I think there was a couple people up there. We went up and had a cup of coffee and looked out the window. You know, watched the people, the traffic, the kids, the school across the street. You know, just the sights and sounds, and you know, it's just a really cool place. They all are. You know, very well organized, very neat and tidy, very clean, and you know, friendly people. So what more could you ask for? Good food, good taste, good coffee.
Yeah.
You know, good price. So,
Okay.
walk around and yeah, just look at that. I mean, this is the view you get. These are $1 million views, you know, unless you got something really, you know, against cities and architecture. But if you like that color and the way the cities are built, it's $1 million view everywhere you go.
Let's go look out the other window.
And back in there is where we sat. Joe sitting there at the table, and you know, we're not talking expensive, we're not talking ritzy, we're not talking fancy, just clean and interesting and fun. That's what I care about.
Now let's look out the window here. And what will we see?
And we're looking down here on the school, mopeds, bikes. And not too bad for congestion. I mean, you can get around. That wall, spectacular. That was actually a hacienda. Inside, you know, it's huge, it's gigantic. It was a very, very, very wealthy person that owned that ground and had all that built, and that was the living quarters for this rich person back then. Probably one of the silver miners, the silver mines, not one of the miners, but the guy who owned the mine, you know. And they use the rock. They have an unlimited supply of rock to build out of because, you know, as you dig for the silver, you blast and shoot and take the rocks out. So what do you do with the rocks? You build stuff with it. Otherwise, you just make a big pile, you know. It's better if you build stuff with it because then we come along 600 years later and get to enjoy all this stuff.
Something of interest around every corner.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. There's a pet store and guinea pigs and rabbits and chickens, birds, all kinds of stuff. If I can get that thing to focus, yeah, 120 pesos. Yeah, it's $5-6, something like that. And you got little peeps, we used to call them when I was a kid, little chicks. Those are ducks, actually. So they're pretty cool, soft and fluffy. And you got some rabbits and long-haired guinea pigs and there you go. The little kids come out and have a lot of fun there. Roosters, chickens, something to start your farm with. Yeah, go over here and parakeets. Other maybe little birds. I think most of those are parakeets.
I won't tell you the sad story about my parakeet when I was about 12.
No, 13%.
And he broke.
He drowned. I was washing the dishes. Anyway,
Frogs are usually
that's.
Yeah,
frogs are the ones that crack.
okay.
They're just beautiful, beautiful birds.
I think little cardinal's a wild bird.
Yeah, well, I think he's probably a wild bird to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah, they catch birds. They catch all kinds of stuff and sell them. Use them for food. Use them for fun. Use them for play, entertainment, enjoyment. Yeah, it's funny. You didn't see very many side-by-sides down there, and actually you didn't see very many real motorcycles. You've seen some 125cc. Those are probably, I kind of think those were two Harleys. You don't get to see many of them down there either. And that was really, you got to stop the video and look at this thing and zoom in. It was really cool. You know, you got a motorcycle with a rear end and a back dump on it and things like that. And for all I know, that's made at a factory, not somebody's backyard. You know, and all kinds of food. You imagine every day you got to pack this stuff up, and then at some point you got to throw it away because it's too old. New bread and stuff being made, and just, you know, so much stuff there for you. Corn on the cob. I actually didn't try the corn on the cob. I should have. Everybody said it was really good. You know, a lot of watermelon, muskmelon, cantaloupe, things like that. Cute little kids. You know, pretty little dresses and their barrettes in their hair, and very clean and well done. You know, just everything you can imagine to buy, to eat. You know, your fruits and vegetables, meats. You know, your stoneware, dishes, honey jars, butter dishes, things like that. You know, just a wide variety of colors, and you know, just the way they make things, the ingenuity and the thoughtfulness of what they're making. You know, beautiful pictures. A lot of times you can find the people are sitting right there, hand painting everything. You know, and somebody comes up and they'll pick something up, then they stop painting and they go sell it, and then they go back and sit down and start painting again. So you know who's painting the stuff. It's the shopkeeper, the owner, person sitting right there, right in front of you. And of course, being Catholic area, there's a lot of crosses and Catholicism stuff there. Those are water jars.
Water jars.
Ollas.
Ollas?
Ollas.
Olla. Ollas. Yeah, yeah.
Joe has a couple of those in her house. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mine I brought from
Very pretty.
From home?
Algodones.
And they use a lead-free glaze.
And this is what a lot of the little roads and streets in this town are like.
You know, and they're very rough. You drive a car over it, it'll just shake your teeth out almost. This is actually very steep. They're going up, up, up. So you're either going steep up or steep down, one or the other. But it does make it more interesting. You know, it's better than just flat. You know, a lot of people walking. Have no idea how many people here are tourists, and how many people actually live there, and how many people live there that are taking their tourist relative or friend out for the day, like Joe is with me. I was down there for 10 days, and that was really cool. And you can't see near enough in 10 days. You know, that's the University of Higher Education, Higher Learning. And just looking up a street, I turned it up sideways, you know, up and down, to really get the gist of the height of the buildings, the narrowness of the street. Wide angle, if you lay the camera, the phone down sideways, you don't get the idea of what you're really looking at. So many buildings there that look just like this. And I believe that one was a church. Most of them that look like that are a church. I don't think anybody else to speak of had the money to build such elaborate structures, unless it was the actual mine owner. Very old buildings with a new coat of paint on them. These doors, if you could walk by it, and if I just kind of stop and go in and show you the door.
The back streets, front streets, and side streets. Side shows.
You know, this little place right here is really cool, and they're smart. You know, you got so many people around there, and you know, you don't want to somebody that's been standing there 15 minutes. So they actually take a number, and then they call out the number, and you're next. So that's really cool. They got a good system going on there, and all kinds of fruit and vegetables, and fried, you know, breads and things like that, and things to drink. And they do quite a business there. You can see that a lot of locals buy stuff on the way home, or maybe to snack on as they walk around town or headed for school. So that was really a neat place. Joe was up there buying things, and I was back, you know, doing a little photography here, little shooting. You know, this is an everyday thing. I don't know if it's 7 days a week, but Joe says that any day on the way home you can stop there and get, you know, good food, fruits, vegetables, things to drink. They had some meat there, you know. And, oh yeah, here we are. That's a drink, actually. It's kind of a tame drink. That's my friend Joe. And known her, I don't know, 19 years now. Stop off and listen to some mariachi bands in the square. Little restaurants on the left-hand side. There's about 10 of them along there. So you got live music, you know, probably 7 days a week. And different bands. Different musicians. I would imagine it, several musicians get together and form different little bands, you know. Good music. I enjoyed it. It was fun. The weather was good. The people were nice. You know, the mariachi bands and then their street music. So just sit back here for just a second and listen to these three. I didn't get much time with them. You know, and the music is kind of all over the streets, so it's fun. Good sounds everywhere. You know, the buildings, just fun to look at. You know, this little guy was very interesting. He was chasing the birds and having fun with them, and they're eating and they're not paying much attention to them. They fly off a little bit, but they come right back, you know. And so just, something cute, little kid to look at and spend a little time. Yeah, it's fun. And the mother was feeding the birds, and of course the little guy, then he gets to have some fun with the birds, get his exercise.
Yeah.
This street's kind of coming and going everywhere, and there are walkways, and this is actually one particular place that you come to in the city. You recognize it and kind of know where you are because of this sidewalk that goes up to the other restaurants.
And we're going to go upstairs, go up the spiral staircase and take a look off of the roof of my friend's house. And you know what? A lot of these places over here have a patio up on the roof, and so that's pretty cool. And it's solid concrete. All the walls, all the ceilings, all the floors, everything is concrete. And otherwise the termites and the moisture gets to the wood, and next thing you know, 60 years later, you got no wood. You got to fix it. So anyway, this is concrete, and it's a beautiful place, lover place. So let's take a look around, and we're going to go up on the roof and look at the city, and just show you a little bit of some of the fun, the color, the different buildings, things like that. This is Brad. We'll see you upstairs.
Yeah, let's go on upstairs and look around. You can take a look around from up. She's really high up on the hill. So you can look down a lot. You got your spiral staircase. That's kind of fun. Carolyn's dog, I don't know, about an 80-pound dog, finally figured out she could do this. Going up wasn't so bad. First time she came down, didn't like it, but got over it. Now she just buzzes up there and buzzes back. What a beautiful place up here to sit in the evening, watch the sunset.
This is off towards the east.
Watch the sunrises.
We'll come around, look right into the sun, kind of. No, kind of about it. We're gonna. These places are so cool. It's just like Puerto Vallarta. It's all on a hillside, and they don't care. They just build on the hillside. And the buildings down below help hold the buildings up above.
Yeah, there's Joe and the dogs. In her backyard, she's got a fantastic place, her and Carolyn. And so anyway, they moved down from Seattle area. Yeah, there's Smudge. What a little doll. She was cold, so bought her a new coat that day. Joe did, and we put it on her. And she did not know what to think about that. She was feeling a little on the dejected side. It was hard for her to walk in it. She walked like a little sumo wrestler. Oh my, she's a cutie. So then Joe's place and Carolyn, they bought a friends from years and years and years ago.
Come here.
And both found themselves at a time in life when they sell their business and their house and stuff and
You walk like a sumo wrestler.
take on an adventure down in Mexico. And I'm glad they did. Gives me a place to go. No Smudge, her tail's just a going.
Just a second. You got it yourself.
She does not know what to think of that.
And she goes to the coolest places. This time she's bought a house down here in Guanajuato, Mexico, about 300 miles east of Puerto Vallarta, of which I'm about to find out how much of a fun bus ride it can be. And the old city is just beautiful.
The view is just fabulous from up there. I'm really tickled that she's bought a place up there that she really liked. And, because of the view, and then at night, the lights, the fireworks, the 4th of July.
I hear the roosters crowing down there all over. The city's quiet. It's not so quiet at night.
And they build on the hillsides like that. Everything's interesting, and most of the buildings down there have a patio on the roof access, so that makes it more interesting, gives you more space, and gives you a better view. So that's just kind of a roundabout. That's Joe's patio right there on top of her roof.
And this is the rooftop. I'll back up here to the corner. And you got a covered area, keep the rain and sun off you in the summertime. Quite a bit of area up here, actually. If it were square, it would probably be 25, 28 feet square. That's pretty cool. Let's zoom in a little bit here and there.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of Americans that are moving down here, and why? Well, it's just a really cool place to be. It's good food, it's good people, it's clean. The weather is nice. You know, you can go over to the ocean, 300 miles to Puerto Vallarta. You know, Mexico City isn't that far away. You can go south. The photography is fantastic. It's just absolutely fantastic. If you had a tripod and the right camera and lenses and really knew what you were doing so you could get some fantastic pictures, you know, it wouldn't get much better than this anywhere. You know, and it's just very different, very strange. You know, I've never seen anything quite like this, you know, built on the hillside like that. You know, it's fun people, it's good food. It's in a bowl. It's kind of like a crater of a volcano. The south exit actually out of the city, out of the bowl, is literally, you know, it goes right down flat to the bottom. You drive right out. You know, you don't have to drive over a hillside or anything like that. You can drive all the way around the city on what's called a panoramica, and that's a quicker way to get around the city. Then you just drop down off the hillside down into the city wherever you want to.
And the air is, I mean, it's probably got to be 45, 48, possibly 50 degrees now this morning.
Yeah, real heat wave. It is cold down there at night.
This is the next row of houses below me.
You know, even the rooftops are you know, kind of cool looking. So if you're up above, you're looking down on the other person's rooftop.
And I'll show you the inside of my friend's house here pretty soon. This is Brad Buckner, sharpensbest.com. We'll turn around here. You can really see my face, even though I got to squint just a little bit because that sun is really bright. This is Brad Buckner, sharpensbest.com, your action roving reporter from Guanajuato, Mexico. We'll talk to you later. You stay sharp out there.
Well, you know what? I want to thank you guys a lot for being here with me, following me around, going with me. If you stuck through till the end of the video, you know, blessings to you. You know, the beautiful sunsets, the colors, the different buildings. You know, and I just thank the people that watch my YouTube videos and follow me around on my little adventures. And, you know, without you, I wouldn't do this. There wouldn't be much point in it, you know, for people to enjoy it and everything. My family, a lot of my friends follow me on my adventures through my YouTube videos and things like that. So Joe and Carolyn, I want to thank you ever so much. Very hospitable people, very good people, very kind-hearted, good-natured, and generous people. You know, so if you ever want to, you know, you folks out there watching the video, if you ever want a place to go that'll really intrigue your senses, you know, sight, sound, smell, taste, you know, feel, go to Guanajuato, Mexico. You can fly into Puerto Vallarta, catch a bus. It's an 8-hour ride east towards Mexico City to Guanajuato, Leon first, and then Guanajuato. So thanks a lot. Take care. Have a good day. Enjoy my videos and my travels. This is Brad. We'll talk to you later.
As the world turns, the sun begins to set down behind the mountain. And actually the mountain is coming up past the sun. Pretty cool. Lights are starting to come on. The city is starting to become lit up. A lot of stuff going on down below.